Welcome to our P.D training video for Photon compensator part creation using the Pinnacle treatment planning system. So the first step when we have P.D open and logged in is to go ahead to our P.D planning menu and choose the settings. And what we're going to do here is we're going to set up an FTP service that is going to talk to our Pinnacle machine for us. And we're actually going to be able to open plans directly from our Pinnacle machine with no file transfer back and forth within P.D. So go ahead and choose the Pinnacle FTP. Then we're going to add a new server. We're going to give that a name. I'm just going to call it Pinnacle FTP host. We're going to enter the IP address of our Pinnacle workstation. So for me, it's my local IP address. And you should be able to log on to your Pinnacle machine and easily grab the IP address. You're going to set up the port on which you're going to communicate, and then you need to enter the username and password on your Pinnacle machine to log into that system. And then for that username, we need to specify the directory where we want to connect to. In this case, it's the pin beta user, and it's the directory decimal right in their root folder. So once we have the settings that we need for our Pinnacle machine, and these may vary depending on the setup of your Pinnacle machine, but you should be able to easily gather those by logging into your machine and checking those settings. We're going to click OK to save our Pinnacle FTP host. And now we're ready to communicate with our Pinnacle machine. So we go back to our planning menu. And with Pinnacle, we're not really creating or importing a plan. We are actually connecting directly to the Pinnacle machine. So we do that through the Manage Patients dialog. So click Manage Patients, and then you'll see up at the top left, we have the location where we want to look at the patient repository. So we're currently looking at the local computer, which is P.D, and instead, we want to look to our new Pinnacle FTP host. So when we click that, we're going to connect to our Pinnacle machine, and any plans that are available in the directory that we chose a minute ago are going to be visible here in my P.D software. So I've got a specific plan up there that I will take a look at and we will walk through today. So I'm going to go ahead and open that plan. And I'm opening that directly from the Pinnacle box. It's transferring it to P.D. I'm going to go ahead. I don't have a machine set up for this particular patient. So I'm going to choose the decimal example machine. I'm going to click Finish. And now I have my plan from my Pinnacle machine directly in P.D. It's that easy. And we'll notice that the Compensator wizard is available for us. Well, that's only available when we have transmission or ODM data that came in with our Pinnacle plan. So that being enabled is a good sign that the data was transferred to our machine here. So we're going to go ahead and start the Compensator wizard. And we're going to notice there's only a few options here. So most of the time we can get away with probably one or two clicks within this Compensator wizard. If we selected the correct plan on import, or if the correct machine on import, or if we've defined our machine in P.D to match the machine names in our Pinnacle TPS, we have no need to change the machine. The energy will need to be selected. The Pinnacle ODM files do not contain the energy, so you will typically need to select the appropriate energy. You should have all those defined in your treatment machine. And then we need to select, are we making brass compensators or are we making aluminum compensators? Okay, for IMRT, we're typically using brass. If you're designing missing tissue compensators, then we typically need aluminum compensators. Then we can select which beams we want to create the compensators for. Well, I want to create it for all of my beams, and we need to select the appropriate thickness for these devices. So 76.2 millimeter is our 3-inch parts, or we can select 50.8 millimeter for 2-inch parts, depending on what your machine accommodates and what you typically use for your plans. So in this case, all of these options are actually correct for this plan. The defaults have worked out exactly as desired. So we can go ahead and click Create. And we'll see that quickly P.D begins making our compensators. And we've got them all here. We see them all visible here in the viewport. Notice it looks a little weird with these valleys. The reason is, I'm going to click Finish. The reason that looks strange is because all of our compensators are turned on right now. So I'm going to turn them all off, and then I'm going to turn just one on. And we'll see that, yeah, that looks like a compensator like we expect. And you'll notice as I turn more on, notice they appear on top of each other. Well, the Pinnacle ODM files do not include any beam placement information. So P.D just renders all these beams at the, basically centered at 0, 0, 0. So all of our compensators will come on top of each other when we bring them in from Pinnacle. But we should be able to just toggle them on and off and view whichever ones we would like to take a look at. So our compensators look good. We can also utilize the beam's eye view if we want to see sort of a flat representation here and look at the individual iso contours or kind of the shelves, the uniform thickness parts of our compensator. Okay, and that's all there is to making compensators. So they look good. We're ready to go ahead and export them back to Pinnacle. So we're going to click the Export Wizard in P.D, and you're going to notice that P.D typically knows that this is a Pinnacle file. So it selects for us that we want to send these back to the Pinnacle treatment planning system by default. It knows that we opened ODM files. So we're going to go ahead and click Next because that's what we want to do. And it's going to use that same Pinnacle host that we created for importing or for opening patients. So we're going to use that same Pinnacle host and click Export. And as simple as that, all of our files are now back on our Pinnacle machine. So when we return to Pinnacle, we're ready to open our parts, and they'll be there waiting for us when we sit back down at our Pinnacle workstation.